Let's take a look at the rest of the Golden State Warriors. Johnny Kuminga, Brandin Podziemski, all of those guys coming up. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and Sam Darcy is back. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and we are available on all platforms, so give the thumb, give the double bang. We're here to cover off the rest of the Golden State Warriors. We talked about Steph, Dre, Jim, all of the over 27s in yesterday's show. In today's show, we're doing the under 27s. And it's an interesting group of players. We might as well just get straight into talking about the first guy on this list, the number one ranked player out of this group for fantasy last season. It was Brandin Podziemski, who was a tough guy to sort of evaluate. We're very interested in drafting him at the end of drafts in the preseason. There was a lot of absolute nonsense stuff that came out from him and the team about what his role was going to be. Klay Thompson was gone. Yeah, Podziemski's going to be the starter. He's going to attempt 8 threes a game or whatever, 10 threes a game or whatever number they said. When, he didn't, very obviously. He never was going to do that. And his minutes didn't push into full starters minutes. Then he lost the starting spot. And he got foreseeable futured up the wazoo all the way through. And you can tell when you look at some of those numbers, he was the 136th ranked player. And you know what? That's not that far off the area where he was being drafted in a lot of different situations. But it's the frustration, I guess, around the length it took him to get there. The frustration in the evolving or the adjusting role, which happens so often, that left us feeling a little bit empty with his production. But second half of the season, 112th ranked player. His ADP was actually 117, so that's sort of about the right area. He ended up with just 27 minutes. He's 22 years of age, 12 and 5, 3.5 assists, 1 steal for Podziemski, 37 and 76 from the free throw line, 37 from 3, obviously, 76 from the line. Those numbers are a little bit pressure pointy. Like, the 37's great, right? Give us a few more attempts and we're good. Push those free throws to 80, get you 2 points up to 46% overall from the field, and then we're starting to cook. The Warriors don't have somebody necessarily who's in that spot or going to take that role. The difference is that now Jimmy Butler's there for a full season, so that secondary ball handling that Podziemski could have taken on just won't be a thing for him. Now, a lot of the advanced metrics actually really like the improvement that Podziemski took. Now, he did struggle as a rookie a lot early on and then picked it up second half. But overall, it's an impressive looking sort of stat panel. His passing volume is strong. His offensive load is not super high, but he's on ball. He took on-ball reps and he defended well. There's something here with Podziemski, and I hope in year 3 that Kerr leans in to playing Podziemski 31 minutes as a starter next to Steph and Jimmy and Draymond and whoever else you want to have out there, that he's that guy that they give those minutes to, and he's a 14, 5, and 4 guy, maybe it's not even 4, maybe it's 3 assists because Butler's there. Give you 1.4 steals, bump those percentages up, and be around the 100, 110 sort of a mark, I think is a fair, reasonable area where I think you could have thought top 75 was a potential for Podziemski in year 3, but that's without Jimmy Butler there. But of course, if you draft Podziemski and Jimmy Butler gets hurt, well, then maybe there is an opportunity for him to actually hit that number. So I do think that while it was up and down and frustrating during the season, we're not writing off Podziemski and his ability to produce in a fantasy point of view. I think there's quite a bit here still as a rebounder, passer, steals, threes, and hopefully get some of those percentages up. They're iffy and they're not there yet. But there is a good enough foundation for him. He is 22, so he's slightly on the older side. He's not super old, but he's slightly on the older side. We just need a little bit more trust and faith in those minutes to jump to 31, 32, and be that guy that then adds that extra 10% production on top, maybe 15 because of your maturity and experience, get the percentages up, and then we're off and we're cooking. The next guy is John Kuminga, because he was a tough one, very obviously. He was drafted very high, 91. Now, I was okay with drafting Kuminga in that area, and that was very clearly wrong. I was okay with drafting him there because, A, you just don't get guys who have 20-point per game scoring ability in that area of a draft usually, unless it's former teammate Andrew Wiggins. The fact that we lost Klay Thompson and we thought that we would get Kuminga in that starting lineup was appealing. He was heading into year 4, and we thought maybe there was going to be a whole bunch of improvements. The advanced metrics would give you conflicting stories. Drip has him as the 3rd percentile in terms of delta, so meaning one of the worst decliners in the league. I don't think that's true, but I wouldn't say that he was great. Darko had him at 62nd percentile. But the problem exists with Kuminga in so many different areas. He also played just 24 minutes. He didn't get unencumbered run to be a starter. He didn't get 30 minutes a night. He did have insane usage. 27 usage is really, really high. He averaged 26 fantasy points, and he was the 136th player pre-trade deadline in category leagues. And then he hurt his ankle and was out for a period of time and never really got it going. Until we hit the playoffs, where we started to get some really good games. It's very obvious to look at this overall line from Kuminga and see why he's not a good category fantasy player. Bad free throws, 67%, 31 from 3, low volume threes, low rebounds, low assists, low steals. He scored well, and that's where it ends. And he scored well doing it inefficiently, and that is a terrible combination. It is possible that Kuminga is not on this Golden State Warriors team, and he is on another team where instead of 24 minutes, he plays 31 minutes, and he gets 27 usage, and he scores 25 points with 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and is horrendous in efficiency, and then becomes the Julius Randle, Paolo Banchero, Kyle Kuzma. Ooh, Kyle Kuzma, that's a good comp. Someone who scores a lot, but is bad at a lot of other things. I'm not going to rule out Kuminga from being an impactful player at times, because he shows flashes of doing it. We didn't see enough of it. He very clearly is not a fit in Golden State. I talked about this in the Warriors show yesterday, though. Like, where does he go? He's restricted. No one's got cap space. It has to be a sign and trade, I guess. And who's giving up assets to sign him to $25 million a year? I really don't understand where the market is going to be for Kuminga. I don't understand what Golden State, will they just match it? And what do they do with him? Because if he comes back to Golden State, we don't care. We're not drafting him in any 10 or 12 or 14 team leagues, honestly, if he's in Golden State. Again, the caveat being is that in the playoffs, he started to do some things. Is that unlocking it? Is that, I don't know. Like what he scored in his last 4 playoff games, 18, 30, 23, and 26 points. Now, a lot of the same problems remained. 1-3, 1-0 assists, 5-6, 0-3 rebounds. He shot poorly from 3 across those games. His field goal percentage was rough. He did hit his free throws, and he had an 11 of 12 and a 5 of 6 free throw game. But it was a lot of scoring without much else. So while it can be in our minds, and it's in my mind obviously because I'm talking about it, that he had these really big scoring games, it is worth noting that we didn't get anything else. We didn't get any of the other stuff. We didn't get the array of production that enables safety of a fantasy floor from Kuminga. He is one of the more intriguing players of the offseason, just to see where he goes, because then we can adjust our expectations based off that. Today's episode is brought to you by Olipop, which is, of course, a new kind of soda. You love the taste of classic soda. If you love the taste of classic soda, but you don't want to deal with all the bad health problems there, Olipop is for you. 2 to 5 grams of sugar in an Olipop, 9 grams of prebiotic fiber in every can. Olipop is reimagining soda in a way that is better for your gut. A regular can of Coke has got 39 grams of sugar. An orange Fanta, 44. That's a ton. That's so much sugar. Olipop, though, 2 to 5 grams of sugar. It's a fraction of that number. And there's no artificial sweeteners and those gut-friendly ingredients like OliSmart, which is a blend shown to support digestive and overall health. It's great to have a soda that tastes like the real thing, but actually does something good for your body. So many of us would have grown up drinking soda and not even understanding necessarily all the negative ramifications. And now we're a little bit smarter about what we put into our body. And Olipop with OliSmart is going to be one of those things that is going to be just great. It's going to be great for you in terms of getting that taste without the negative impact. So get a free can of Olipop, just buy any 2 cans in store, and they'll reimburse you for 1. Head to drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA to claim your free can and find Olipop near you. That is drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, we're talking Golden State Warriors. That is the bucket. That is Podziemski out of the way. Let's move on to another one of their younger players who has, much like John Kuminga, has been stifled in some of his opportunities, and that's Moses Moody. He has been jerked around from, hey, let's start a few games, let's play off the bench, let's be out of the rotation. He was a player who was a interesting two-way guard in college, who handled a decent amount of usage, but that's never been the thing in the NBA. I would say that this season, without too much doubt, was Moses Moody's best NBA year, and I still think he can be a quality NBA starter. Could he be the next Quinten Grimes? I'm not sure he's got that much juice, but sure, like that sort of a player who had like 17 usage in 22 minutes with 10 points. He shot 37 from 3, 80 from the line. You didn't get much in the rebounds, assists, steals, or blocks. So that's not very good. And his overall fantasy rankings are pretty rough. But second half of the year, 168th with Jimmy Butler, his minutes rose. Now he's one of the guys, again, like Kuminga, he's not a restricted free agent. They signed him to an extension. My bad. So we don't have to worry about him in restricted free agency. He's there. He's signed. He's ready to go. So he's under contract for 3 more years at like $12 million a year. You'll notice the difference in some of the stuff that he does. He's a very low offensive load guy. He's a very low on-ball guy. Deflections are good. His advanced stats are pretty solid. There's a lack overall of a robust fantasy profile. But unlike Kuminga, and maybe this is biased because I thought Moody was a better prospect than Kuminga, I fully understand that. I don't think Moody's ever been put in as advantageous a position as Kuminga has been. And you would say that Kuminga has been dicked around, and I agree with that. But there still have been plenty of times where they've said, all right, let's go for a couple of weeks and let's see Kuminga do this stuff. I don't think Moody's ever been put in that spot, and that might be rightfully so. You might say, well, of course, he hasn't shown that. And I understand that, part 2. But is there an opening that's coming up here? Not really for Moody, because again, Podziemski is there and Butler is there. We just keep biding our time on him. He is still 23. But it'd be one of those names that if he was traded somewhere, we just go, ooh, where to? What's the chances? What's the opportunity? Because while 2.5 assists, or 2.5 rebounds and 1.3 assists with 0.8 steals is terrible, clearly, I do think that if we saw a 32-minute role where he was featured more heavily, we would get 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.5 steals. We would get 2.5 threes and 17 points, best case, probably. And that's useful enough. I'm not giving up on him. He's not one of those guys where at times I watch Cameo go, like, no one told you needed to do that. Like, surely that decision was not part of any sort of game plan. Whereas with Moody, I sort of watch him at times and I'm like, oh, you're just like being basketball shy. You're just, I don't want to put my nose into somewhere where it shouldn't be. And there's pros and cons to both approaches, like Kuminga doing whatever freelance nonsense he does, and Moody being so passive at times to not stand out and not step up that it limits, I guess, our opinions of him or even his ability to have a huge impact on winning. So while I still like Moses Moody, we're 4 years in and we haven't really seen that explosive type blow up. And he was good second half. But there's no now it's Moody time scenario happening here. No one really thought that we'd be mentioning Quinten Post during this season from a fantasy perspective, but there were times that we did. He had one of the greatest, if not the greatest, rookie season for a 7-foot big man shooter. That 41% on threes, he hit 2 a game in 16 minutes. That is insane volume, insane efficiency. The problem being that we didn't really get anything else. A subpar rebounder, low below average usage, not a rim protector. He hit his free throws at a pretty good rate, but this is a very late second round pick who came in and actually played minutes. Now, much like so many other players for the Warriors, you didn't know what you were going to get. Would he start and play 10? Would he start and play 22? Would he start and play 28? Would he come off the bench and play 0? Would he come off the bench and play 24? The advantage Post has on this team that's going to be playing Draymond and Jimmy together is that he spaces the floor. And Kevon Looney, free agent, Trayce Jackson-Davis do not at all. And Draymond can't hold the center role down full time. Post is older as a rookie. He's 25. He's 3 years older than Pods. He's 2 years older than Kuminga and Moody. He's older. But as one of those guys who, if the opportunity is there, we know what he delivers. Do I think he's ever going to be a good blocks or rebounds guy? Not really. Or develop into a 30-minute center? Also, no, not at all. But I think what we saw from him, the Warriors should be at least looking at him and say, hey, you are part of this rotation. And that spacing ability is, in the literal use of the word, unique. Because it's never been done before by a rookie at that level. It's him as a rookie shooter. So we don't get that. Now, rim protection, defense, not really there. And that's going to limit him. But as a sneaky deeper league three-point stream guy, I think he's going to be around for a while. And that's impressive for a guy that was drafted as late as he was in the draft, because very clearly he was a very late pick, had to be converted off the two-way when the Warriors got some space on their team, and he was very useful for them. We're going to talk about another center that we thought was going to be the starting center heading into this season after a solid rookie season, but he was not. That's Trayce Jackson-Davis. We'll get to him in a sec. Today's episode, though, is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, and the Indiana Pacers have taken the lead. They are 2-1 up in the NBA Finals, and every night there is something wild, wondrous, interesting happening in the NBA playoffs. And with FanDuel, well, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. It is easier to stay in the game with FanDuel before tip-off and live during the games. Player props, you look at performance trends, you've got same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and to win big. You can take those live prop bets mid-game. You can see someone cooking and go, well, I think it's going to cool off. Or maybe this guy's getting ready to start. Put your same-game parlays on. Just put your regular live bets on to see, hey, is this game over? Are they going to blow them out? Are they going to come back? All that stuff that you can do on FanDuel. And as a new customer, well, you just hit a bet, your first one, $5, and you get $200 in bonus bets. So, if you are new to FanDuel, it is the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet, and if it wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. Okay, let's talk about a couple more of these Warriors, the under-27 group. Like I said, we talked about one rookie, older center, and that was Quinten Post. Let's talk about the guy that was in that same position 12 months ago, and that's Trayce Jackson-Davis, who was someone who was drafted in quite a few fantasy leagues, an ADP of 126, because especially early in the preseason, after a strong rookie campaign, there was a thought that maybe he would be the starting center on this team. Maybe. And he did get an opportunity to start. Unfortunately, he didn't get an opportunity to stay starting, and his production really fell. And a lot of the concerns I had about Jackson-Davis before his rookie season, undersized, not sure if he can survive without the usage he had in Indiana. Is the shot ever going to be there? Defensively, is he actually good enough? It all came to fruition after a really strong rookie campaign. He didn't hit a three. He shot 58 from the line. He blocked 0.6 shots in 16 minutes, which is not horrendous. 76th percentile rim contest. But overall, the production and the impact from Jackson-Davis was just nothing like where he was as a rookie, and he's also already 25. He averaged 7 and 5. And I know that we often, and as I say, I get into this trap. I don't think I do. Maybe I do. But it can be easy to get into the trap of, I like this player in a pre-draft process. I like this player in a fantasy preseason. I drafted this player onto my team. So then it's easy to go into the Steve Kerr, what a dickhead. What is he doing? Why wouldn't you play Jackson-Davis? It's ridiculous. He's their best center. He needs to be out there. Just horrific coaching decisions. But in the end, I don't think that's true. Now, again, I don't think that I do that, or I try my best to minimize it, but it is an easy trap to fall into. But if you objectively look at it, you can look at Looney and go, well, Looney's old. Cool. Jackson-Davis is literally 4 years younger. Like, he's not that different. 5 years younger. He's not that different. And he's also way worse. And that team was trying to win. So, objectivity, like we thought Jackson-Davis was going to start. There were clear holes in his game. But when he didn't, it's not a crime against humanity when these sort of players end up being marginalized. For some it is, because it makes no sense from a real-life basketball perspective. But if we have a look at someone like this and these fringy sort of guys and it doesn't work out, it's okay. Because often the real-life impact isn't there, even though Jackson-Davis can be a very good fantasy player. We've seen that. You need to be good enough on court, though, for that to make sense. And he's not. I don't really know where he goes from here or where the Warriors go because the Butler-Green pairing needs that post shooting. And Jackson-Davis will never do that. He's also, he's probably best suited to being a reserve big man. And maybe that's the role that he just finds his way into this season. I know that he's not going to be a 12-team draftable player. His value in Dynasty League took a gigantic hit last season. It should have been not that high anyway because of the advanced age and some of the holes and no guarantee of a forward path into big minutes. But even I had him, I think I had him ranked relatively, I had him 130th in the preseason, which was clearly wrong. Right, nowhere near that. He finished 344th. 228th before the deadline. Jimmy arrived 472nd. And that's a very stark sort of warning as to, unless things are really tailored to his needs, it's going to be tough. And he's not good enough to have things tailored to his needs. And that's a bad combination. Gui Santos, Al Helper, is the next guy we're going to talk about. An undrafted player who's been around for a couple of years now. In and out of rotations. He got some strong minutes down the stretch at times, but overall a 33% three-point shooter with 13 usage. He's an energy defensive sort of forward. He's only 23, so he is young, and he came in pretty young, so he's similar age as Kuminga and Moody. He averaged 11 fantasy points a game. I thought he did look better this season than he has at any other point. I thought his defensive stuff was pretty strong. I don't think he's ever going to be a starter, but look, I don't know whether he returns to Golden State or what happens there. He's got that non-guarantee on his deal. I do think that he can work into being a rotation forward, but 15 to 17 minutes is probably topping out what he does. And his best thing is probably his defensive ability, his steals. He's not a terrible rebounder. He's not bad for his size. But overall, it's a relatively middling profile with middling results, even though, given where he came from, it's who is this guy? An undrafted guy out of Brazil. Who is he? Into not a bad rotation piece who actually provides energy and forward depth through a regular season. That's a big leap up for Santos. Getting to that next spot, I don't know if he's got that next level in him. The last guy we're going to talk about is also a depth forward, and I cannot believe that we are talking about Kevin Knox, who was, I thought, an easy fade when he was drafted. Hated his profile in the draft. I hated the film of him. I hated his statistical stuff. He had that really big summer league and didn't fool me really at all. I will not fully blame him for his NBA failures because he was dicked incredibly hard by the Knicks and David Fizdale just cooked him. But he's also just not good. Somehow he is still hanging around. He played games for Detroit last season and then he's on this Warriors team for whatever reason. I don't know why he's here. He's got size, I guess, but 27% from three again. 0.1 steals. He only played 6 minutes a game in 14 games, but why is he even here? What does he even do? What's he around for? Surely in the big 2025, we've passed the need as a society to have to deal with Kevin Knox on an NBA roster. No offense to him. He's got the size, sure, but to do what? If I was packing that much size, I'd do a little bit more with it. I don't get it. I know I'm being unnecessarily harsh on Knox. It's not his fault. I just don't see it. 3 points, 1 rebound, 22 usage. Seems a lot for someone who's bad. He just doesn't need to be on a roster. I don't think he'll be on a roster as we move forward. Maybe you can explain it to me. Why does Kevin Knox keep getting opportunities? He's still only 26. He came in incredibly young. So maybe I'm being a little harsh and he's still going to hit his peak and be much better than this. But from a fantasy perspective, we don't need to care. The thing you can care about is that the show is over. I did mention, or no I didn't, I should have mentioned at the start that we do have a live draft show coming. Wednesday, 25th of June, first round, 8 p.m. Eastern, live on YouTube. You can find the link in the description. You can find it pinned on the YouTube page. It's all over the shop. So subscribe and be a part of that live show with me. Guys, we are done here. Mock draft coming soon. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.